Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Noodle film review. Tonight we're looking at I think it's a 90s film. I've got my glasses with me. Let's have a little look, see if it's got a year on this. No, of course it doesn't. So we're looking at a classic, which I believe 90s film called Stigmata, starring Patricia Arquette, Gabrielle Byrne and Jonathan Pryce. What an absolutely amazing cast. Now this is the new release of the film, and it comes in like a sort of media book with the Blu-ray. The disc's in my player at the moment because I've just finished watching it, and it comes with like a booklet built inside the actual book. Which is fantastic, and it also includes, I believe, a DVD at the back. So, Stigmata. Now, this is based around Gabrielle Byrne, who plays a priest who works for the Vatican in Italy. He's a priest, but he's also a sort of scientist, and they use him as an investigator to investigate sort of religious sort of phenomena that are going on. And the film sort of starts in Brazil, where this priest has died, and all these strange things are reacting and acting since he's died. Like the white doves have appeared in the church, and the statue that they've got there of Mary is bleeding and stuff like that. So he's gone to investigate it. And when we see him there, he's like taking all sort of samples of blood and taking photographs, and he wants to move the statue and take it to Italy, the Vatican, to be tested. But obviously the locals won't let him because it's become like a real sort of sacred sort of thing that they worship. Anyway, he gets the results back of the blood test, and it comes back as being human and warm. And while this is going on, we then go to, I believe, Pennsylvania. I think it's somewhere like that. Anyway, where we see Patricia Arquette, and she's out with her friends and stuff like this, and she's got like this boyfriend, and she's talking to one of her friends, thinking that she might be pregnant because she's like a week late. And all this sort of thing going on. And then she gets a phone call one morning from her mum, and she goes, did you get my parcel? Did you get my parcel? Because I'll take you back to the Brazilian part, and a young boy steals a rosary from the dead priest's coffin when it's laying out in the church. And he sees this woman, and he sells it to her. She buys it, and it's her mum, and she sent it to her like a gift with other things. So she opens this parcel, and and in it is this rosary, and then she starts to sort of drink coffee, and it starts to taste off, and she feels sick. This is why she thinks she's pregnant. So she goes to her friend, and her friend, why don't you just do a test and all this sort of thing. And she's very sort of like reluctant. I'll give it another week, kind of thing, to see what happens. And so all these little bizarre happenings sort of start happening since she's received this rosary. Now back to Gabrielle Byrne, and he arrives in the Vatican City, and he's walking towards the Vatican, and there's a group of local sort of like prostitutes, if you like, in the street, and they sort of approach him for business, and he says, oh, thank you, I'm very flirted, but I can't. And they all go, oh, come on. And he lifts down his collar, and they can see the white collar, and then they start laughing and stuff like that. It's quite a funny moment. Anyway, he enters the Vatican, and then we're introduced to Jonathan Pryce, who's like one of the head sort of priests, and he's telling him the results of this church in Brazil, and that the blood on the statue is real blood. So there's something that could be of a sort of spiritual phenomenon going on there. And so he wants to go back there to investigate it, but Jonathan Pryce won't let him. He said, you know the rules, you should have brought the statue back with you. But he said, well, look, I couldn't, because the local people adore this statue, and he's not going to take that away from them. Anyway, the priest is making Jonathan Pryce makes arrangements for another priest to go out there to kind of maybe bring the statue back. And so Gabrielle is off the case, so he walks out. We then join our Patricia Arquette going back home after being out with her friend, and she goes to have a nice bath. And then she starts suffering. This sort of strange things start happening when she's in the water, in the bath. And she seems to get pulled under. And then she starts showing the first signs of stigmata. Now, if you don't know what stigmata is a sort of religious phenomenon that people believe that people of a very high spiritual sort of position suffer the same wounds that Jesus did on the cross. So like obviously Jesus was stabbed quite a few times with spears into his side, and obviously he had a crown of thorns on, and then he was nailed to the cross by his wrists and his feet. And she's starting to experience her first one, and you sort of see flashes of like a sort of nail being hammered into the wrist sort of thing, and she starts bleeding and stuff like that, and in the bath, and it's quite chaotic, the scene. And then we join her she's at the ER at the hospital, the emergency rooms, and they're rushing her through, and she sort of leaps up screaming and drops down, and they all think she's dead, but her sort of pulse rate never rises to normal. And then she wakes up and she doesn't know where she is or what's going on. And then they take off the stitching of where the bandage, and then she starts pouring out with blood out of here. And then they notice that the wound goes through here and out the other side. So they stitch her up, and the doctor's talking to her, thinking, how did you do this? You know, because they're exactly the same measurements on both wrists. And she goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't done anything. You know, so it's like they all believe she's been self-harming. But we know that there's some sort of case of stigmata going on here. So what's going to happen is, and it all seems to be based around her receiving this rosary from that priest back in Brazil. So there's some sort of connection going on there. So is our investigating priest, Gabrielle Burns, going to get on the case and solve this this mystery? Is she suffering stigmata? Is she self-harming? Is it just a hoax? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Stigmata? I love the film. When I first saw it back in the day, when I first got the film, I did find the story a little bit confusing because I was still quite young, and I just thought, oh, here we go. It's got the years on here. Okay. 1999 is the year, so I was right. It is the 1990s, the very end, but it is the 90s. And this is I found it a little bit, you know, because I wasn't really into the sort of religious faith, but as I've got older, I've appreciated it more, and I find films like this now very eerie and very interesting. And because this sort of thing happens in real life, these priests do look for cases of stigmata and cases of sort of like spiritual phenomena and stuff like that. It all goes on, especially in the Catholic religion. They're so highly, and not say into it, but they're so highly into their belief of it, that it's so strong they actually think this thing's happening, and I can't say it doesn't. I know nothing about it, and this film sort of investigates that sort of side of the church that we don't really see. Now, the pluses of this edition, the transfer's good. I wouldn't say it was brilliant, but it's good. It looks like a really good DVD, and a mediocre Blu-ray transfer. But that you got to think, if that's the best print they could get of the film, it's the best print they could, and they have worked on it, and it does look quite nice in places. Um, the film is phenomenal, absolutely amazing. It's so well acted, a great cast, absolutely incredible cast. And I love the pacing of the film, and I love the way the direction the film goes. It's such a cool film, and I don't want to say anything like that because I want you to find it out for yourself if you haven't seen it. So I'm going to score Stigmata an awesome watch and give it a 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad I picked this up. This is like the new release version. It does come with a J card, which does sort of fit on the sort of back there. It's limited media book collector's edition, including the Blu-ray and DVD and a 24-page booklet. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Bonuses looks pretty slim on the bonuses, but this is not Arrow, this is not Second Sight, this is not 88 Films, this is MGM. So this is going to be just a major company pushing it out, but they pushed it quite a nice copy out. You know, it's a really nice sort of like packaging. I'm not sure if it's going to fit in my shelf because I think it is a little bit more bigger than a it's a heck of a lot bigger than a Blu-ray. So I'm not sure if that's going to fit in my shelf. It might have to sit like that. But yeah, it's really cool. Stigmata, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you say. It is a film of the 90s. It does have that sort of 90s feel. So when I watch it, I do get that sort of flashback to that period when it came out, when there was some great films coming out. You know, some really supernatural films were starting to kick off a little bit again at the end of the 90s. We had the things like Constantine, and we had the Schwarzenegger one was End of Days and stuff like that, and we had this, which is a much more classier sort of film, and absolutely wonderful. I love this. It's got a nice feel. It's got a real sort of hardback book feel to it. It just feels like a book, but it is a wonderful film. Guys, till my next video, check out some more horror channels where we check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man Review Film, RS Design, Pizzlewell, I'm the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. Till next time, and a massive shout out to the lad. Look after yourselves, guys.